Okay, so I'm gonna try to unpack this whole thing, but honestly, it's a mess. Like, not even a clean, well-structured mess. It's the kind where you start one thought and then your brain just goes sideways. Because right now in General Hospital, everything feels like it's collapsing at once. Not even slowly, just boom, 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 back-to-back hits, like the writers were on some kind of emotional rampage. First, you got Britt Westbourne getting hurt. And not just a scratch, not something you can brush off. No, this is the kind of injury that lingers, that sticks. Then Marco dead, just like that. No time to process. And then Cullum gets shot. Like, hold up, can we breathe for a second? No pay. Because right after that, right after all that chaos, they throw in the biggest twist. Jason Morgan gets arrested. And not just arrested. Nah, that would be too simple. He confesses. I remember sitting there like, wait, what? Because we saw what happened. We know it wasn't Jason. It was Rocco Falconeri. A kid, a whole kid caught up in something way too big for him. And Jason just steps in and takes it like it's his burden to carry. And I swear that moment didn't hit me immediately. It kind of crept in after, like a delayed reaction where you're like, oh, this is actually worse than I thought. See, from my POV, just me talking, not trying to sound all analytical or whatever, Jason's choice, it's not just about being a hero. People love to throw that word around. Hero, savior, protector. But nah, this feels different. This feels like someone who's so used to sacrificing himself that he doesn't even question it anymore. Like it's automatic. Like breathing. And that's kind of messed up if you think about it too long. Because, yeah, on the surface, he's protecting Rocco. And that matters. It really does. Rocco is the son of Dante Falconeri and Lulu Spencer. So that kid already has enough weight on his shoulders just existing in that family. And if the truth came out, if everyone found out he pulled the trigger, his future would be, gone. Like, not even dramatic, just realistically over. So Jason steps in, says, it was me. Simple, clean, devastating. But then there's another layer, and this is where it starts getting complicated in my head. Because it's not just about Rocco. It's about Britt too. And maybe even more than that, it's about what Britt represents to Jason. Like, she's not just his girlfriend, she's stability, or at least the closest thing he's had to it in a long time. And she loves Rocco, like deeply. Not in a casual way, not in that quiet, protective, almost maternal way that doesn't need to be said out loud. So if Rocco goes down, Britt breaks too, and Jason knows that. So now his choice isn't just save the kid, it's save the kid and protect Britt from that kind of pain. And IDK, when you stack it like that, it almost feels inevitable that he'd do what he did. Almost. But here's where I get stuck. Because there's this part of me that's like, okay, yeah, that's noble. That's selfless. That's textbook Jason. And then there's another part of me that's like, bro, what about you? Like, seriously. When does Jason get to matter in his own life? Because every time something goes wrong, he's the one stepping in, taking the hit, disappearing into the consequences like it's his job. And at some point, that stops being heroic and starts being, I don't know, self-erasure? Yeah, that's the word. He erases himself. And the cost this time, it's heavy. He walks away from Britt. He walks away from Danny Morgan. And not in a temporary, I'll be back soon kind of way. No, this is prison. This is time lost that you don't get back. Whether it's Pentonville prison or Steinmauer prison, doesn't even matter at that point. A cell is a cell, and Jason accepts it. No hesitation. That's the part that kind of messes with me. There was that moment, yeah, you know the one when he looks at Britt and Danny before being taken away? No big speech, no dramatic music swelling or whatever, well, maybe a little, it is GH, lol. But the look, man, it wasn't even loud. It was quiet. Heavy, like he was trying to memorize them in that second. Like he already knew he wasn't going to get another chance like that. And Britt, you could see it hitting her in real time, like her brain trying to catch up with what's happening. Danny too, in his own way. And I'm sitting there like, why does this feel so real? I know it's a show, I know these are actors, but something about that scene just didn't feel fake. I almost cried, which is annoying, because I don't like giving shows that power over me, lol, but yeah, it got me. And then Aftermath, which honestly feels worse than the actual event, because now we're left with the people who didn't go to prison, the ones who have to live with what happened. Danny, God, that kid, he's probably going to end up with Alexis Davis, which makes sense. That's what Jason wanted. But logic doesn't fix emotional damage. Danny's not just losing his dad physically, he's losing him in a way that's confusing as hell. Like, how do you explain that? Your dad is in prison because he chose to take the blame for someone else. Yeah, try making that make sense to a kid. And Britt, this is where it just feels cruel, because she loses Jason. Just like that. No time to process. No real goodbye. Just he's gone. And on top of that, her illness. And the meds destroyed thanks to Cullum. Like, seriously? That detail alone is just evil. I'm sorry, there's no other word for it. Because now it's not just emotional pain, it's physical too. And when those two stack together, it's a different kind of suffering. The kind where your body starts giving up because your mind already is. I keep thinking about how loneliness affects people. Like real talk, not just TV drama. When you're alone, when you're hurting, when there's no one there to ground you, everything gets amplified. Pain feels sharper. Symptoms feel worse. Hope feels distant. And Britt is in that exact space right now. Alone. Grieving. Sick. That's a dangerous combo. And then this thought hits me and it won't leave. What if she's pregnant? I know. Nothing confirmed. Could be nothing. Maybe I'm reaching. But just imagine for a second, Britt carrying Jason's child while he's locked away, while she's losing access to treatment, while everything around her is falling apart. That's not just drama, that's a test, like a brutal one. Because now it's not just about her survival, it's about the baby, and that changes everything. Suddenly, every decision matters more. Every risk is bigger. Every moment counts. And yeah, maybe that gives her strength. Maybe she fights harder because of it. But also, how much can one person take before they just break? And Britt's already been through a lot. So, I don't know. I really don't. And Jason not knowing, that part bothers me the most. Because he made this huge sacrifice thinking he understood the full picture, but what if he didn't? What if there's a whole future, his child, his family, that he's walking away from without even realizing it exists? That's rough. Like, emotionally unfair in a way that's hard to explain. And yeah, there's always that maybe in soap operas. Like maybe Lucas Jones figures something out. Some experimental treatment. Some last minute miracle. Maybe Britt survives. Maybe the baby survives. Maybe everything doesn't completely fall apart. But even if that happens, Jason's still in prison, still separated, still believing in a lie he chose. So the happy ending isn't really happy, it's patched together fragile. And I think that's what makes this storyline stick with me. It's not just the shocks. It's not just the deaths, the shootings, the arrests. It's what comes after. The quiet damage, the emotional fallout that doesn't get fixed with one big moment. Jason loses his life as he knows it. Britt loses the person she loves. Danny loses his father. Rocco loses his innocence. Everybody loses something. And if I'm being real, like genuinely real for a second, this whole thing kind of makes me think about how people define doing the right thing. Because Jason did the right thing, technically. He protected a kid. He prevented a life from being ruined. But at the same time, look at the cost. Look at the ripple effect. Sometimes doing the right thing doesn't solve anything. It just redistributes the pain. And I keep circling back to that because, yeah, Jason looks like a hero, but he's also a man sitting in a cell alone, separated from everyone he cares about. And Britt is out there possibly dying, possibly carrying his child without him. And Danny is growing up without his dad. So, like, was it worth it? I don't know. And maybe that's the point. Maybe there isn't supposed to be a clean answer. Just this uncomfortable, messy, kind of heartbreaking situation that makes you sit there and think a little longer than you expected. And yeah, I hate that it got to me like that. But it did.